What's up, everyone? DKRACK here. And alright guys, I'm pretty excited. Mr. Nightmare just dropped a brand new video. It says 4 really creepy true Home Alone stories. Like always guys, I'll have a link to the original video down below. Make sure and go check out Mr. Nightmare. That damn train going by my house, sorry. Make sure and go check out Mr. Nightmare. Show him some love. I really enjoy his videos. They're awesome. So go check out Mr. Nightmare. Also, if you're new to the channel, please make sure and subscribe. Click the bell so you don't miss any new reactions. But guys, let's check out 4 really creepy true Home Alone stories by Mr. Nightmare. Let's go, guys. The music is always so creepy, like really.
I live in Sydney, Australia. This happened when I was 15 and home alone. It was about 9 p.m. and I was just coming out of the bathroom when I heard my front gate swing open and my dog begin barking. Across the hall, I saw someone run past the porch window and into the backyard. I was able to vaguely make out what he looked like.
What?
He was hunched over, had sickly pale skin, was wearing all black, and had long messy black hair partially covering his face. I went into the living room to see what was going on. My dog was still at the front door growling. Since I hadn't seen the guy return, this meant he was still somewhere in my backyard. I waited at the door for a while, when another, more normal-looking guy walked onto the porch and came right up to the security bars. I don't remember all the details, but our conversation went something along the lines of him saying, "Hey, have you seen my friend?" And I replied, "Yeah, I think he's in my backyard." He replied saying, "Okay, because I've been following this random guy all over the place. I think he's on drugs and might be dangerous." This struck me as weird though. What did he mean by this random guy, when he had just called him his friend? He quickly walked away, going off into the darkness.
Yeah, what? What is going on?
I should also mention that there's a door around back, but that also has security bars in front of it, and the door was locked at the time. I waited at the front door for a bit, then sat back down. After about 2 minutes of waiting, the guy I spoke with walked back onto the porch and looked in through the security bars. He now had the pale, potentially drugged-out guy with him, who was pacing back and forth in an agitated manner. I went to the door to see what he wanted. He said, "Hey, sorry man, I just found him. Look, he's really nervous, and he'd like if you unlocked the door and came out here, just so he could see that you're harmless."
Oh, hell
I
no.
felt the pain in my chest.
Sorry guys about that. When someone subscribes, that alert goes off. I'm sorry.
The creepy, drugged-out guy had stopped pacing now, and was standing unnaturally still, staring me dead in the eyes. There was an uncomfortable silence. I didn't say anything, but stepped forward to push the French door shut, causing the second guy to lunge at me and shove his hand through the bars towards me. I jumped back and slammed the door shut.
No, yeah, shut the door and lock it. Really?
They called the police. The 2 men had gone. When the police arrived, they told me about a break-in that had occurred just down the street less than an hour ago. As far as I know, they never found the 2 guys. Looking back, it's likely that the first guy ran into the backyard to try to find a way in, and the second guy went to help him, which is why they were back there for so long. What disturbs me is the fact that they didn't want to just break in, nor did the fact that I was home deter them. They wanted me to come outside to them, or to get into where I was.
Yeah, no thank you. Freaking lock the door and call the police. That's your best bet right there. Call the police and lock your door.
It was a Thursday night. My mom was working a late shift at the hospital. My 2 brothers were away at college, so for the time being, I had the house to myself. I had a couple friends over. We watched a baseball game, had a few beers, and they left through the back door. I went upstairs to the kitchen to put the remainder of the beers in the fridge and get ready for bed. I went to bed shortly after, and after a while of laying down trying to actually fall asleep, I heard light footsteps coming up the stairs outside my room.
Someone's in the house? No!
I heard her cough as she passed my bedroom door and entered the bathroom. Then she went back downstairs to the kitchen and started making a lot of racket with the cabinets and dishes and whatnot. I was way too lazy to get out of bed to go down there and ask her to keep it down, so I just texted her instead to stop making so much noise. I put my phone back on my desk and flipped on my side to try to get comfortable. Then I heard footsteps coming back upstairs, quickly. My bedroom door opened, and my mom stepped into my room. The hallway light outside my room wasn't on, so I couldn't make eye contact with my mom. But when I looked up, I saw my mom's figure.
Oh.
She stood by the doorway, looking kind of slouched over. I told her to stop making so much damn noise.
What the hell?
When she didn't respond,
what?
I sat up and said, "Mom?" A vibration on my desk let me know I got a text, and given that it was pretty late, I naturally checked my phone to see who it was.
The text is gonna be from their mom. That's not his mom. I don't know. Is this a guy or a girl telling the story? I don't know. But it's not their mom. They're gonna look at their phone and their mom's gonna be like, "We'll be home in a little bit." That's not their freaking mom in the doorway.
It was from my mom.
Oh,
she said,
I told
still
you.
At work. I dropped my phone onto my bed as I looked up at the doorway. That person standing at my doorway wasn't my mom.
I told you.
No, I was panicking.
I freaking told you guys. Oh.
I said, "Mom, I need to get to sleep. Get out." I said this because I wanted to play dumb, act like I had no suspicion that someone had broken in. The person at my doorway didn't move, so I picked up my phone, texted my mom in a panic, saying there's someone in the house, I mistook them for her, and to call the police right now. My mom replied back, "Okay," in a matter of seconds. Something then broke the silence in the room. The voice of a woman, crackly and rough. She started saying something. It sounded to me like she was saying, "Don't know where to go," over and over. Her voice started getting louder.
Sounds like a mental patient. My wife works at a nursing home with older people, dementia, you know, are just crazy. They lose their mind. Sounds like this lady has dementia or some mental problems, and she went into the house accidentally, and she's totally confused. She's confused. She doesn't know where she is. But that would be creepy as hell. Ugh.
I realized she was approaching my bed. I screamed,
"No!"
"Get back," as I fumbled for the lamp switch next to my bed. As the light turned on, I was faced with some old woman with white, wiry hair, with her wrinkled hands reached out at me, approaching my bed, repeating that phrase, "Don't know where to go."
She has Alzheimer's or dementia.
Away from me.
What she has.
As though she
has a mental issue.
I jumped off the bed and ran out of the room and held my door shut. Seconds later, I felt her trying to push the door open as I put all my weight up against it to keep it shut.
Yeah, she's an old lady. She won't open it up.
I get out and started banging on the door. I held this position for the longest time, and she was relentless. My mom kept calling my phone, but I couldn't pick it up. It wasn't until the cops arrived and knocked on the front door that I let go of the bedroom door and ran to them. The old woman immediately came rushing after me, but as I opened the door and yelled at the cops to stop her, they immediately pinned her against the wall. She was in cuffs and was put in the police car. I told them everything that happened.
She sounds crazy.
Based on how she was behaving and what
she's
I told
crazy.
them,
it sounds
she would
like
need to be identified and evaluated to determine if she was mentally ill, and it later turned out she was, to no surprise.
Yep. I told you guys.
I found out later that night after the cops left that after my friends left through the back door, I forgot to lock it, and that was how she managed to simply walk into my house. It's definitely scarred me mentally in the sense that anytime I hear something in my room while sleeping, I have to look up and make sure somebody isn't standing on the other side.
That would be so creepy. Some random ass old lady who lost her mind just in your room? Hell no.
Before moving off on my own to California, I lived basically in the middle of nowhere on my dad's ranch in Colorado. It was a beautiful, huge property. I just never loved living in a rural setting. I found it boring. Plus, as that old cartoon Courage the Cowardly Dog stated, creepy things happen in the middle of nowhere.
That's
funny.
Been
a number of times that people had trespassed.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Which is why my dad owned 3 different guns. There was one time he had to chase 2 men off the property with his rifle. What I'm about to tell you happened a few years back. think it was in the middle of June. I was home alone as my parents were on vacation together and my little brother was out with friends or at his girlfriend's house for the night. I don't remember. It was a hot night for Colorado, so I had all the windows open. I used to go to sleep pretty late around that time, so I think it was around 1 in the morning. I was still in the living room watching TV when I noticed the motion sensing patio light turn on outside. This light would only turn on due to very noticeable movement by a person.
Oh,
So
hell
immediately,
no.
I assumed it was my little brother returning home. To be safe, I got up and looked out the window. I didn't see anyone though. I took out my cell phone and called my brother real quick. He didn't pick up. So I went to sit back down. Then it started. The knocking at the front door. Our door had a peephole because obviously anyone coming to our house went out of their way to get there. So we'd need to know who was there before opening the door.
Yeah, makes sense.
When I went to go peek through the peephole, I didn't see anyone. So I'm immediately thinking ding dong ditch. Possibly some local punky kids, possibly my brother. I was hoping the second was the case. I shut the blinds now because I became paranoid that I was being watched.
I bet you were hoping it was your brother.
I shot my brother a text saying, if I find out it's you, I'm not letting you in. Moments later, there was a knock right behind my head. So loud I actually jumped off the couch.
What?
There was a knock at the living room window.
Who the hell is this?
What I can best describe to be two voices. One a deep male voice, one a higher pitched female voice, saying, "We see you," simultaneously. Heart racing.
What the hell?
I imagined it to be the most wishful thing I could think of.
Hell no!
It was my little brother and his girlfriend messing with me. In the moment it made sense, or maybe I just wanted it to make sense. The banging on the window didn't stop there, it kept going. But it moved to another window. This time the window in the dining room, where I didn't shut the blinds. From the angle I was standing at, I could see two figures at the window, but no chance could I see anything about their faces. I didn't look at them as I ran upstairs to my dad's room to get one of his guns from under his bed. He told me exactly where he kept it just in case of an emergency. I loaded the rifle and ran downstairs to the dining room window, but they weren't standing there anymore. With a loaded gun, I felt a lot more confident in opening that front door and going outside to confront the situation.
Yeah, it's good thing you had a rifle.
When I stepped outside, I decided I'd do one full quick lap around the house and check on the cattle. I was no marksman, but I had the protective instincts for the property, and I was ready to use the gun if I needed to. The whole property seemed clear, and the cattle were fine. So I went back inside, checked every door, and went to bed upstairs. For half an hour, peace and quiet, until I heard a disturbing sound come from downstairs and outside. So
yo, this is creepy as hell.
Outside into the dark night. The screaming and pounding stopped, and I heard two sets of footsteps quickly stomp off the wooden porch.
Yeah.
And there was nothing.
They're out of there.
Crickets.
They're out of there if you have a gun.
The rest of the night, nothing happened. Actually, nothing ever happened again until I moved out. But it was not my brother and his girlfriend. I found out the next day. My dad was proud of me when he heard I protected the property.
Who was
I was
it?
grateful my dad has those guns, and I only agreed with his owning them even more after that.
The real question is, who the hell was that guy banging on the door? Who was it?
I was home alone one night in the spring. I was on a FaceTime call with my friend, at one point pacing back and forth in my room. When I passed the window and looked outside at one point, I saw someone outside on the street, just standing there, facing my house, facing my window. I looked a little more carefully and determined he was looking up right at my window.
Oh, jeez.
I told my friend Jordan on the FaceTime call and tried to show her. She said she couldn't see him but to call my mom and dad. So I hung up with Jordan and continued to look out at the man for a few more seconds. Then I walked away from the window to my bed and called my mom. I had woken her up because it was like midnight. In short, she told me to just turn off my lights and shut the blind and he would go away. So that's what I did. But after a few minutes of dying in curiosity, I had to get up, lift the blinds, and peep outside. The man was now on the sidewalk, closer to my house.
Oh,
still
God.
looking up at my window.
What?
Now I called the police, and the operator asked me if the man was holding any weapons. I said not that I could tell. The operator then told me to ignore it, and if he didn't leave within 10 minutes, or if he stepped onto my property, to call the police again. She also told me that a patrol car would pass by my house just to scare off the man should he still be out there.
Well, that's good at least,
I hung
huh?
up the phone and crawled into my bed. I called my friend Jordan back, and we talked on FaceTime while I was in my bed for about 5 minutes. She told me it was time to go check the window again, and so I did.
The guy's gonna be gone.
This time, the man was gone.
Yep, he's gonna be in your...
stood by the window with the blinds now up.
He's gonna be in your freaking house.
My house. It took about 5 to 10 minutes of standing there on FaceTime with Jordan before I saw a police patrol car come down the block, stop briefly in front of my house, and the little spotlight on the side of the car being moved around my property and a few neighboring properties. The cop car drove away soon after, and that was that. That told me the man was gone, not on my property.
Or he's hiding on your property.
My FaceTime call with Jordan, we hung up and I went to bed.
He's probably hiding.
After laying in my bed for a solid 20 minutes, I heard a creaking or a cracking like sound coming from outside. I got out of bed and looked out the window, but no one was there. So again, I went back to bed. A few more minutes went by, and there was another cracking sound coming from outside, this time louder. I looked over to the window from my bed and was in total shock when I saw a figure at my window.
No! Oh!
I have an upstairs bedroom, and suddenly the
No!
cracking noises made
No!
sense.
No! No! No!
He had been climbing up the side of my house. I went to the other window and screamed help over and over, hoping my neighbors would hear. I also got on the phone with 911 again and told them to send another car right away. The man at my window attempted to squeeze through the opening in the window, but seemingly gave up when he noticed one of my neighbors outside yelling something.
What the hell?
Next time I looked at the window, he was gone. And according to my elderly neighbor who came to my aid, the man jumped down and ran away down the street. Cops came once again. This time I spoke to them and gave them all the info they needed. They said they'd be patrolling the immediate area all night and went on their way. I didn't get any sleep that night.
I wonder if they
that
ever
man was scared off for good.
I wonder if they ever caught the guy. Dang, that was creepy. Alright guys, that was 4 really creepy true Home Alone stories by Mr. Nightmare. Like I said guys, go check out Mr. Nightmare. He has great horror stories. Love his videos. Also, subscribe if you're new. Click the bell so you don't miss any new reactions. Also, smack the like button. If you guys have any other scary videos or just any videos you want me to do a reaction to, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching guys, and until next time, peace.